Pradyumna, and Anirudh are separately located in each of these four parts. These four divided abodes are enveloped by the fourfold human requirements such as piety, wealth, passion, and liberation, as also by the four Vedas, namely Rig, Sam, Yajur, and Athar, which deal with the mantra and which are the basis of achievements of the four mundane requirements. 10 tridents are fixed in the 10 directions, including the zenith and nadir. The 8 directions are decorated with 8 jewels of Mahapadma, Padma, Shankh, Makar, Kachap, Mukund, Kund, and Neel. There are 10 protectors, Dikpalas, of the 10 directions in the form of mantra. The associates of the hues of blue, yellow, red, and white, and the extraordinary potencies bearing the names of Vimal, etc., shine on all sides.
The Lord of Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of eternal ecstasies. He is the superior of all superiors and is busily engaged in the enjoyments of the transcendental realm and has no association with his mundane potency. Krishna never concerts with his illusory energy. Still her connection is not entirely cut off from the absolute truth. When he intends to create the material world, the amorous pastimes in which he engages by consorting with his own spiritual chit potency Rama, by casting his glance at the deluding energy in the shape of sending his time energy, is an auxiliary activity. The secondary process of association with Maya is described. Rama Devi, the spiritual chit potency, beloved consort of the Supreme Lord, is the regulatrix of all entities. The divine plenary portion of Krishna creates the mundane world. At creation there appears a divine halo of the nature of his own subjective portion, Swamsha. This halo is divine Shambhu, the masculine symbol or manifested emblem of the Supreme Lord. This halo is a dim twilight reflection of the supreme eternal effulgence. This masculine symbol is the subjective portion of divinity, who functions as progenitor of the mundane world, subject to the supreme regulatrix Niyati. The conceiving potency in regard to mundane creation makes her appearance out of the supreme regulatrix. She is Maya, the limited non-absolute apara potency, the symbol of mundane feminine productivity. The intercourse of these two brings forth the faculty of perverted recognition, the reflection of the seed of the procreative desire of the Supreme Lord. All offspring of the consort of the great Lord Maheshwara of this mundane world are of the nature of the embodiment of the mundane masculine and feminine generative organs. The person embodying the material causal principle, viz., the great Lord of this mundane world, Maheshwara, Shambhu, in the form of the male generating organ, is joined to his female consort, the limited energy Maya, as the efficient causal principle. The Lord of the world, Mahavishnu, is manifest in him by his subjective portion in the form of his glands.
The word of the mundane world, Mahavishnu, possesses thousands of heads, eyes, hands. He is the source of thousands of avatars in his thousands of subjective portions. He is the creator of thousands of individual souls. The same Mahavishnu is spoken of by the name of Narayan in the mundane world. From the eternal person he has sprung the vast expanse of water of the spiritual causal ocean. The subjective portion of Sankarsan, who abides in Paravyom, thus above Supreme Purush, with thousands of subjective portions, repose in the state of divine sleep Yoga Nidra, in the water of spiritual causal ocean. The spiritual seeds of Sankarsan existing in the pores of skin of Mahavishnu are born as so many golden sperms. These sperms are covered with 5 great elements. The same Mahavishnu entered into each universe as his own separate subjective portions. The divine portions that entered into each universe are possessed of his majestic extensions. Namely, they are the eternal universal soul Mahavishnu, possessing thousands of heads. The same Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left limb, Brahma, the first progenitor of beings, from his right limb. The same Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left limb, Brahma, the first progenitor of beings, from his right limb, and from the space between his 2 eyebrows, Shambhu, the divine masculine manifested halo.
The function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe enshrining the mundane egotistic principle has originated from Shambhu. Thereupon, the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shambhu, entering into the mundane universe, plays the pastimes of preservation, creation, and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss appertaining to his own divine personality. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahmalok or Satyalok. Before the conglomeration, the primary elements in the nation state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahavishnu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle, created those different entities in their state of cooperation. And after that, he himself consorted with Yoga Nidra by way of his eternal dalliance with his spiritual chit potency. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered in the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate, Virad Vigraha. At that time, those devas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened.
The same Jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. The divine lotus which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu is in every way related to the spirit by the spiritual tie with all souls and is the origin of the four-faced Brahma versed in the four Vedas. On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions, but he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Then the goddess of learning, Saraswati, the divine consort of the Supreme Lord, said thus to Brahma, who saw nothing but gloom in all directions: O Brahma, this mantra is Klim Krishnai Govindai Gopi Jana Vallabhai Swaha will assuredly fulfill your heart's desire. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled.
Being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practice the cultural acts for Krishna in Golok, Lord of Svetadvip, for a long time. His meditation ran thus: There exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments, in the transcendental land of Golok. On its hold there exists a great divine throne, on which is seated Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound. With his lotus mouth, he is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portion and extensions, and also by his external energy, who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. Then Gayatri, mother of the Vedas, being made manifest, that is, imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered into the lotus mouth of Brahma, born from himself through his 8 ear holes. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri, sprung from the flute song of Sri Krishna, attained the status of the twice born, having been initiated by the Supreme Primal Preceptor Godhead himself. Enlightened by the recollection of that Gayatri, embodying of the 3 Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all Vedas, with this hymn: I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govind, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petal, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose 2 hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyam Sundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primal Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveniences, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extension of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in the heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in this world in the form of Rama, Narasimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence, the source of the non-differentiated Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as indivisible as the indivisible, infinite, limitless truth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the absolute substantive principle, being the ultimate entity in the form of support of all existence, whose external potency embodies the threefold mundane qualities, namely Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and diffuses the Vedic knowledge regarding the mundane world. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as a transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Lowest of all is located Devi Dham, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesh Dham, abode of Mahesh. Above Mahesh Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm, named Golok. I adore the primeval Lord Govind, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govind, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, namely milk, so I adore the primeval Lord Govind, of whom the state of Sambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction.
The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who, assuming his own great subjective form, who bears the name of Sesh, replete with the all-accommodating potency and reposing in the causal ocean with the infinity of the world in the pores of his hair, enjoys creative sleep, yoga nidra. Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds, appearing from the pores of hair of Mahavishnu, remain alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the latter, Mahavishnu. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, of whose subjective personality, Mahavishnu is the portion of portion. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion, Brahma, receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Suryakant, etc. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesh upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles in the path of progress of the three worlds.
The three worlds are composed of the 9 elements, which fire, earth, ether, water, air, direction, time, soul, and mind. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom they originate, in whom they exist, and to whom they enter at the time of universal cataclysm. The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of his world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all the jivas, from Brahma to the meanest insect. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to the roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of a tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than in that of Indra, the king of Devas. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence, and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation.
I worship that transcendental seat known as Svetadvip, where, as loving consorts, the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is a purpose gem, all water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance, the flute is the favorite attendant. Effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental ocean of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away, even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Golok only to a very few self-like souls in this world. On hearing this hymn, containing the essence of the truth, the Supreme Lord Krishna said to Brahma, Brahma, if you experience the inclination to create offspring by being endowed with the real knowledge of the glory of Godhead, listen, my beloved, from me to the signs set forth in the following 5 slokas. When the pure spiritual experience is excited by means of cognition and service, bhakti, super excellent unalloyed devotion characterized by love for Godhead is awakened toward Krishna, the beloved of all souls. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. This preliminary practice of devotion, sadhana bhakti, are conducive to the realizations of loving devotion, than whom there is no superior well-being, who goes hand in hand with the attainment of the exclusive state of supreme bliss, and who can lead to myself.
Abandoning all meritorious performances, serve me with faith. The realization will correspond to the nature of one's faith. The people of the world act ceaselessly in pursuance of some ideal. By meditating on me by means of those deeds, one will obtain devotion characterized by love in the shape of supreme service. Listen, O Vidhi, I am the seed, that is, the fundamental principle of this world of animate and inanimate objects. I am Pradhan, the substance of matter. I am Prakriti, material cause, and I am Purush, efficient cause. This fiery energy that belongs specially to the Brahman that inheres in you has also been conferred by me. It is by bearing this fiery energy that you regulate this phenomenal world of animate and inanimate objects. Hari Om Tat Sat. So we'll stop here now, and then we will go and stand in front of the deities and recite the Brahma Samhita prayers.
ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर गोविंद सर्वकारणं सहस्रशिखर कमलं गोकुलाख्यं महत्पदं तत्कर्णिकारं तद्धाम तदनन्तांश संभवं कर्णिकारं महद्यन्त्रं षट्कोणं वज्रकीलकं सदंग सत्पदिस्थानं प्रकृत्या पुरुषेण च प्रेमानंदा महानंदा रसेनावस्थितं हि यत् ज्योतिरूपेण मनुना कामबीजेन संगतं तत्किंजल्कं तदंशानं तत्पत्राणि श्रियामपि चतुरश्रं तत्परिता श्वेतदीपाख्यमद्भुतं चतुरश्रं चतुर्मूर्तेश्चतुर्धाम चतुष्कृतं चतुर्विपुरुषार्थैश्च चतुर्भिर्हेतुभिर्वृतं शूलेर्दशभिरानन्दम् ऊर्ध्वाधो दिग्विदिक्ष्वपि अष्टभिर्निधिभिर्जुष्टम् अष्टभिसिद्धिभिस्तथा मनुरूपैश्च दशभिर्दिक्पालैः परितो वृतं श्यामैर्गौरैश्च रक्तैश्च शुक्लैश्च परशार्दभिः शोभितं शक्तिभिस्ताभिरद्भुताभिः समन्ततः एवं ज्योतिर्मयो देव सदानन्दपरात्पर आत्मा रामस्य तस्यस्ति प्रकृत्या न समागमा मायाया रममानस्य न वियोगस्तया सह आत्मना रमया रेमे त्यक्तकालं शुश्रूषया नियति स रमा देवी तत्प्रिया तद्वशं तदा तद्लिङ्गं भगवान् शम्भुर्ज्योतिरूपः सनातना या योनिशा पराशक्ति कामो बीजं महद्दरे लिङ्गयोनि आत्मिका जाता इमा महेश्वरी प्रजा शक्तिमान् पुरुषः सोऽयं लिङ्गरूपी महेश्वर तस्मिन्नाविर्भावलिङ्गे महाविष्णुर्जगत्पति सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषा सहस्राक्षा सहस्रपात् सहस्रबाहुर्विश्वात्मा सहस्रांशा सहस्रशुः नारायणस्य भगवान् आपस्तस्मात् सनातनात् आविराशित कारणार्णो निधि शङ्कररत्नात्मकः योगनिद्रां गतस्तस्मिन् सहस्रांशा स्वयं महान् तद्रोमबीलजालेषु बीजं शङ्कररत्नस्य च हैमानि अन्दानि जातानि महाभूतावृतानि तु प्रति अन्दम् एवमेकांशाद् एकांशाद् विशति स्वयं सहस्रमूर्धा विश्वात्मा महाविष्णु सनातनः वामङ्गादसृजाद् विष्णुं दक्षिणाङ्गात् प्रजापतिं ज्योतिर्लिङ्गमयं शम्भुं कूर्चादेशात् अवासृजात् अहङ्कारात्मकं विश्वं तस्मादेतत् विजायत अतः ते श्रीविधैर्वेषैर्लीलमुद्वतः किल योगनिद्रा भगवती तस्य श्रीरिव सङ्गता शुश्रूषयं ततो नाभेस्तस्य पद्मं विनिर्ययौ तन्नालं हेमनलिनं ब्रह्मणो लोकमद्भुतं तत्वानि पूर्वरूढानि कारणानि परस्परं समवायाय प्रयोगच्च विभिन्नानि पृथक् पृथक् चिच्चक्तया सज्जमानोऽथ भगवानादिपुरुषः योजयन्मायया देवो योगनिद्रामकल्पयत् योजयित्वा तु तानि एव परिविवेश स्वयं गुहां प्रविष्टे तस्मिन्स्तु जीवात्मा प्रतिबुध्यते स नित्यो नित्यसम्बन्ध प्रकृतिश्च परैवश एवं सर्वात्मसम्बन्धं नाभ्यं पद्मं हरेरभूत् तत्र ब्रह्मा भवद्भूयश्चतुर्वेदी चतुर्मुखा संजतो भगवच्चक्त्या तत्कालं कीलचोदिता शिशक्षयं मतिं चक्रे पूर्वसंस्कारसंस्कृता दधर्षा केवलं ध्वान्तं नान्यात् किमपि सर्वतः उवाच पुरतस्तस्मै तस्य दिव्यसरस्वती कामकृष्णाय गोविन्द हे गोपीजन इति अपि वल्लभाय प्रियावाहनेर्मन्त्रं ते धाशयति प्रियं तपस्त्वं तप एतेन तव सिद्धिर्भविष्यति अथ तेपे ससुचिरं प्रीणं गोविन्दमव्ययम् श्वेत्वदीपपतिं कृष्णं गोलोकस्थं परात्परं प्रकृत्या गुणरूपिण्या पर्युपासितं सहस्रदलसम्पन्ने कोटिकिञ्जल्कभ्रमिते भूमिश्चिन्तामणिस्तत्र कर्णिकारे महाशने समासीनं चिदानन्दं ज्योतिरूपं सनातनं शब्दब्रह्ममयं वेणुं वादयन्तं मुखाम्बुजे विलासिनी गणवृतं स्वैश्वैरंशैरभ्युश्रुतम् अथ वेणुनिनादस्य त्रयीमूर्तिमयी गति स्फुरन्ति प्रविवेशासु मुखाब्जानि स्वयंभुव गायत्रीं गायतस्तस्माद् अधिगत्य सरोजज संस्कृताश्चादिगुरुणा द्विजताम् अगततः त्रया प्रबुद्धो अथा विद्धिर्विज्ञाता तत्त्वसागरा तुष्टाववेदशारेण स्तोत्रेणानेन केशवम् चिन्तामणि प्रकरसद्मशुकल्पवृक्ष लक्षाव्रतेषु शूरभिरभिपालयन्तम् लक्ष्मीसहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानम् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि वेणुं कनन्तम् अरविन्ददलायताक्षं बर्हावतं समसिताम्बुदसुन्दराङ्गं कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभां गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आलोलचन्द्रकलसत्वनमाल्यवंशी रत्नाङ्गदं प्रणयकेलिकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिभङ्गललितं नियतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अङ्गानि यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमन्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसदुज्ज्वलविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अद्वैतमच्युतमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभमदुर्लभमात्मभक्तो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि पन्तास्तु कोटिशतवत्सरसम्प्रगम्य वायोरतापि मनसो मुनिपुङ्गवान् सोऽपि अस्ति चिन्त्यतत्त्वे गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि एकोऽपि असौ रचयन् जगदण्डकोटिं यच्चक्तिरस्ति जगदण्डचयायदन्त अन्दान्तरस्थपरमाणुचयन्तरस्तं Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yadbhavabhavitadiyo manujastataiva samprapya rupa mahimashanayana bhusha shukte yameva nigama pratitaistuvanti Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabhis Tavirya eva nijarupataya khalavi Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena Shanta sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam shama sundaram achintya guna swarupam Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ramadimurti shukalani yamena tishtan Nanavataram akaroda bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam sambhavat paramam pumam yo Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti Koti swashesha vasudhadi vibhuti bhinnam Tad brahma nishkalam asesha bhutam Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Maya hi yasya jagadanda shatani shute Traigunya tad vishaya veda vitayamana Sattva valambi parasattvam vishuddha sattva Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ananda chinmaya rasatmataya manashu Yaha pradinam pratipalan smaratanupetya Leela itene bhuvanani jayata jashram Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Golokanamni nijadamni tale chatasya Devi mahesha haridama shuteshu teshu Te te prabhavani chaya vihitascha yena Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Srishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka Chaye vayasya bhuvanani bivarti dhurga Ichyanurupamapi yasya shirihista Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Shiram yatadadi vikara vishesha yogat Sanjayate nahi tata pritagasti yeto Yah sambhutam apitata samupaiti karyat Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Deeparchire vahi dashantaram abhyupetya Deepayate vivarta hetu samana dharma Yastadrage vahi cha vishnutaya vibhati Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yah karanarnava jale bhajati sma yoga Nidramananta jagadanda saromakupa Adhara shaktim avalambya param swamurtim Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yasyaikanisvasitakalam atavalambya Jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanata Vishnur mahansa iha yasya kala vishesho Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Bhashvan yatashma sakaleshu nijeshu teja स्वीयं कियत् प्रकटयति अपि तत्त्वतत्र ब्रह्माय एष जगदण्डविधानकर्ता गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यत्पादपल्लवयुगं विनिधाय कुम्भ द्वन्द्वे प्रणामसमये स गणाधिराजा विघ्नान् विहन्तुम् अलयस्य जगत्त्रयस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अग्निर्मही गगनमम्बुमरुद्दिशश्च कालस्तथा त्वमनसीति जगत्त्रयाणि यस्माद्भवन्ति विभवन्ति विशन्ति यं च गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यच्चक्षुरेश सविता सकलग्रहाणां राजा समस्तसुरमूर्तिरशेष तेज यस्याग्नया भ्रमति संवृतकालचक्र गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि धर्मो अतपापनिचया श्रुतयस्तपांसि ब्रह्मादिकीटपटकावधयश्च जीव यद्धत्तमात्रविभवप्रकटप्रभावा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्व इन्द्रगोपमतवेन्द्रमहो स्वकर्म बन्धानुरूपफलभाजनमातनोति कर्माणि निर्दति किन्तु च भक्तिभाजां गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यं क्रोधकामसहजप्रणयादिभीति वात्सल्यमोहगुरुगौरवसेव्यभावे सञ्चिन्त्य तस्य सदृशीं तनुमापुरेते गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि श्रिया कान्ता कान्ता परमपुरुषा कल्पतरवो द्रुमा भूमिश्चिन्तामणि गणमयी तोयममृतम् कथागानं नाट्यं गमनमपि वंशि प्रियसखी चिदानन्दं ज्योतिपरमपि तदास्वादयमपि च स यत्र क्षीराद्विश्रवति सुरभिभ्याश्च सुमहान् निमेषार्धकयो वाव्रजति नहि यत्रापि समय भजे श्वेतदीपं तमहं युगगोलोकमिति यां विदन्तस्ते शन्तशितिविरलचारकटिपये अतो वाचा महाविष्णुर्भगवन्तं प्रजापतिं ब्रह्मन्महत्त्वविज्ञाने प्रजसर्गे सचेन्मति पञ्चश्लोकीमिमं विद्यं वत्सदत्तां निबोध मे प्रबुदे ज्ञानभक्तिभ्याम् आत्मनि आनन्दचिन्मयी उदेति अनुत्तमा भक्तिर्भगवत्प्रेमलक्षणा प्रमाणैस्तसदाचारैस्तदभ्यासैर्निरन्तरं बोधयन् आत्मनात्मानं भक्तिमपि उत्तमं लभेत् यस्या श्रेयस्करं नास्ति यया निर्वृत्तिमाप्नुयात् यः साधयति मामेव भक्तिं तामेव साधयेत् धर्मानन्यान् परित्याजा मामेकं भज विश्वसान् यादृशी श्रद्धा सिद्धिर्भवति तादृशी कुर्वन्निरन्तरं कर्म लोकोऽयमनुवर्तते तेनैव कर्मणा ध्यायान् मां परं भक्तिमिच्छति अहं हि विश्वस्य चराचरस्य बीजं प्रधानं प्रकृतिपुमांश्च मया हितं तेजिदं बिभर्षि विदे विदेहि त्वम् अहोतो जगन्ति ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारणम् इति श्री ब्रह्म संहिता सम्पूर्णं हरि ओम्।
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So first we'll quickly sing a song. Shraddha Mataji, should we sing the song or can we go to the presentation? What do you say? Okay. So the song is Udilo Aruna. Page number 38 in the song book. Maybe we can read the translation first before we sing so that we can meditate on the meaning. Arunodaya Kirtana, this is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When a tinge of red on the eastern horizon heralded the sunrise, the jewel of the twice-born Lord Gaurasundara immediately awakened. Taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, visiting the towns and villages of Nadia. The mridangas resounded tatai tatai, the cymbals chimed in time, and Lord Gauranga's foot bells jingled as his golden form trembled slightly in ecstatic love of God. Third one? Yes, please. Maybe you should turn it on. Mataji, can you help?
Lord Chaitanya called out to the townsfolk, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. Now just fill your mouths with the vibration of the holy names, Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, Hari, chanting without offense. You have achieved the rare human body. Don't you care for this gift? If you do not serve the darling of Yashoda now, great sorrow awaits you at death.
Each time the sun rises and sets, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and refuse to serve the Lord of the heart? Understand this essential fact: life is temporary and full of all kinds of miseries. So make it your own business to take shelter of the holy name and always engage in his service.
Desiring to bless all souls, the sweet name of Krishna has descended to the material world and now shines like the sun in the sky of the heart, destroying the darkness of ignorance. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna and thus satisfy the soul of Bhakti Vinod. There is nothing but the holy name within all the 14 worlds.
Udilo aruna purabhabage Dwijamani gora mani jage Aruna purabhabage Dwijamani. Thank you, Mataji. Mani jage Bhakata sammuha loiya shate Gela nagara braje sammuha loiya sate Gela nagara braje Tatai tatai bajalako Gana gana tahe janjera rol Tatai tatai bajalako Gana gana tahe janjera rol Preme dala dala sonara anga Charane nu pura bhaje Me dala dala sonaranga Charane nu pura bhaje Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolo ne bolo re vadana bori Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bole na bolo re vadana bori Miche nidava she gelo re rati Divas sharira saje Cheni dava she gelo re rati Divas sharira saje Emana durlabha manav deho Paiya ki koro bhavan ke ho Emana durlabha deho Paiya ki koro bhavan ke ho Ebe na bajile Yashoda suta Charame podi belaje Ebe na bajile Yashoda suta Charame podi belaje Udita tapana hoile asta Dina gelo boli hoi bebyasta Udita tapana asta Dina gelo boli hoi bebyasta Tabe ke no ebe alas hoi Na bajor dayo raje राजे जीवना नित्या जनः सा ताहे नानाविध विपद भार जीवना नित्या जनः सा नानाविध विपद भार नामाश्रया कोरी जटने तुमी ताकः पनका अजे नामाश्रया कोरी जटन तुमी ताकः पनका अजे जीवेर कल्याण साधन का जगते आशिये मधुर नाम जीवेर कल्याण साधन का जगते आशिये मधुर नाम अविद्याति मीरा तपन रूपे हृद्गगने विराजे मीरा तपन रूपे हृद्गगन विराजे कृष्ण नाम सुधा कोरिया पान जुड़ो वो भक्ति विनोद प्राण कृष्ण नाम सुधा कोरिया पान जुड़ा वो भक्ति विनोद प्राण नाम विना किछु नहीं को आरो चौदह भुवन माजे नाम विना किछु नहीं को आरो चौदह भुवन माजे नाम विना किछु नहीं को आरो चौदह भुवन माजे किछु नहीं को आरो चौदह भुवन माजे नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल So today the topic is sweet surrender. First of all, I would like to thank Vaisesika Prabhu and also Vishaka Mataji for giving me this opportunity, and also for to Sraddha Mataji for giving her inputs, and we both are going to do this presentation. On the first part, I'll be giving what is surrender, and what are the processes of surrender. And once that's done, Shraddha Mataji will give a practical demonstration of, not a demo, of the devotees who already did it in their lives from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, what comes to your mind when you think about surrender? How does the term feel when we talk about surrender? Do you have a point?
Yeah. What I understand from surrender is we are like a robot, and he's our programmer. He moves. We are like a puppet, or you can say the puppets are being controlled by Lord Krishna. That's the surrender.
That's correct. You have a okay. So, with that understanding, let's go a little deeper into understanding what surrender is. So, in this presentation, here is a summary of what we are going to discuss. What is surrender? What are the elements of surrender? Why we should surrender? And when we talk about surrender, there is an object to which we should object, or a person to which we should surrender. So, whom to surrender? And the process of surrender itself, and what is the one practical point that we can practice in our day-to-day life in order to accomplish this goal of surrender, which is the sweet surrender. When does the bitter surrender become sweet? So, with this in mind, let's go to the first point. What is surrender? So, according to the dictionary, the word surrender means to give oneself up into the power of another, especially as a prisoner. So, when we talk about surrender, people feel like you're giving up. You're giving up your free will. You're giving up even your material possessions. Through your mind, body, and words, whatever you have, you're giving it to other person. And in this world, that type of surrender is considered as a defeat, or it doesn't give a happy feeling when a person surrenders to other. So this term of surrender is mostly like in war, like if one group surrenders to the other party which has won the war, then the person who has surrendered feels some kind of disgrace and dishonor and humiliation. That's all it means to the person who surrenders. And mostly, even if one person surrenders because the other one is providing shelter or whatever it is, but in the end, this kind of disgrace, dishonor, and humiliation actually turns into revenge, right? Because suppose if we see in the nation, like two countries fight, one country may surrender to another country, but after many years, they invade war against the country against which they lost the war, right? Because though they surrender, the sense of revenge remains in the heart, right? So the surrender also goes deeper. It's not that you surrender and then you forget. You want to come out of that feeling of freedom, which is everybody wants to be free in this world. So that's why the term surrender is sometimes a negative connotation. But let's see what does it mean in our spiritual life, and we will see those in future slides. So, okay. Everybody talks about freedom, like right from the day we are born until we die, we aspire for freedom. Why? Because we think that freedom will give us lasting happiness. So, how do we try to attain that? Like, we want to be independent financially, mentally, physically, free of diseases, and we want to be famous. Like, we want to do anything that our mind says. That's what we call it as freedom. But let's go a little deeper into the subject. Is there a thing called freedom in this world? Suppose in America, when compared to other countries in the world, there is more freedom. We call the country of the free. But if we go a little deeper, there is freedom, but it's regulated, right? Can a person go to the bar and, like, you can drink and do whatever, but you have to be out at a certain time, like 3 a.m. or 12 a.m. I don't know what the exact time is, but there is regulation. But because the country gives the freedom, but along with the freedom comes the rules. So if you practice what you want to be within those rules, as long as you don't break those rules, then you're free. Like, the rules are required. For example, here I mentioned the driving rules, right? We are driving on the street, and if there are no red lights and everybody want to be free, they want to drive in whatever direction they want, there will be chaos. So there is freedom. Yes, you can drive on the road, but the moment you break the rules, you lose your freedom, and you are again have to surrender to the laws of the country. So we should have an understanding that it's actually not a freedom. Nobody can be free because the material world is full of rules and regulations. So this concept of freedom and independence at individual level is a myth, actually, because if we use freedom to a greater extent, then what happens? There will be chaos and we fall down and we suffer. So that's why there are rules. But according to the Shastras, if you surrender and if you give up fully means if you surrender and you give up your freedom, then the Shastra says you get unlimited happiness. But that seems to be entirely contradictory to what we have experienced in this material world. So let's just go further and analyze how it is. Okay. So let's talk about little more about the term surrender itself and what does it mean in the according to the Shastras. The word surrender means sharanam, means I surrender unto you. That's the Sanskrit term. So when we talk about surrender, there is a process of doing. Like when you talk about driving, there is a process of how you drive on the road. So that process is called the Sharanagati. And a person who does the surrender is called Sharanagata. So we are all Sharanagata. And when a person surrenders to another person, right? So the person who is worthy of our surrender, who can give us shelter, so that person is called Sharanya. And then when we accept the process of surrender, that's called Sharanapati, means the process of acceptance of the surrender means, yes, I accept it. Like when they take the oath after the presidential elections, they accept, right? So when you accept, yes, I surrender, that's Sharanapata, right? So in fact, the Sharanagata, when he accepts the path of surrender, he becomes Sharanapati. He accepts it. Is that clear? Means at least two basic things: whom to surrender and who is surrendering, and what is the process of surrender. Those are the basic things that we are going to talk about. So here in this picture, who is the Sharanagata? Hanuman or Vibhishan? In this means he looks like Hanuman, but it's Vibhishan. Okay, who is the Sharanya? Lord Ram. Okay, so he is surrendering. So it's one surrender. There are lots of instances where devotees means exclusively surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. So this is just a basic understanding. So let's go further. Why we should surrender? The first question that we ask is why? Why I should surrender? Can you think of anything on your own, like why you should surrender?
Everybody is running after happiness, and whatever action we do, we like to be more happy. And the Shastra says by the surrender you get the ultimate happiness, and that's the reason why we should surrender.
Yes, that's correct. Can you think of any instances in our day-to-day life where we surrender? Can you think of any instances where? Yes, Prabhu.
I think I surrender to my stomach when I'm hungry.
Yes, that's a very good example. But do we do all kinds of analysis and everything before we surrender? No, it's instinct, right? Means you have to surrender because you feel hungry, you must eat. We have to surrender. The first reason is because we don't have any other option, because we are in this material world and everything is being controlled by the Supreme. You have only two choices, like whether you want to surrender willingly or you don't want to, means unwillingly. Those are the only choices. You cannot even question about surrender. You can only question about whether you will willingly or unwillingly. Why? Because the Supreme Person controls this world. But if you want to do it out of love, then you choose the path of devotional service. But if you don't want to obey the orders of Krishna and you're stubborn, and the only other way is Maya. Because we know this basic example of the parent, right? If the child is obedient, then the parents keep him home, teach him nicely, be loving to them. But if the child is very violent and doesn't want to listen and causing harm to others, what do the parents do? They hire a teacher, pay the money for the teacher, and tell the teacher what lessons they should teach to their child. And then the child is entirely in the hands of the teacher. But the child doesn't even know that it's actually the parent who is giving the lesson, but through the teacher. So the teacher is the material nature. But if you take the loving path, then we go directly to the devotees and Krishna. But what is the difference between these two paths if we choose to? Because if we serve Lord Krishna, if we listen to our parents, it's direct. But serving Maya, we are doing, but still it's indirect. Serving Krishna directly without going through all the pain is full of bliss. The path is full of bliss. But if we choose to serve in this material world, then it's suffering. Why? Because material nature is very harsh. There is no mercy. Because if you think of fire, does the fire make a distinction whether a small child without any knowledge is putting finger in me, so I should not burn? It doesn't make any distinction. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, whatever you commit, it will act upon you. And when the reactions come upon us, it's very, very severe. So we can see what are all the main disasters that we say in our day-to-day world. These are all physical. What about those that, about the depression and all the mental agonies that the living entities go through? So those are all like different manipulations that are being performed by the material nature simply to teach us a lesson of coming back to the real purpose of serving Krishna. So I just heard this, that means if you want to serve Krishna, the humility is the way. But if you don't, then you have to surrender to material nature, which is really humiliating. It's really such a disgrace and a humiliating position for a soul to be embodied in this body and suffer in the material nature. Let's just hear what Prahalad Maharaj says about this in the Bhagavatam. He says in the 7th canto, 5th chapter, 31st verse, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, which obviously applies to us, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru or similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As a blind man guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries of, what are the threefold miseries? Adhyatmika means are caused by one own mind. Adi Daivika, caused by the demigods or higher forces. Adi Bhautika is other living entities, like mosquito bites us or whatever it is. So the first reason is we actually don't have any option, so we should surrender. Means at least we should think about it. Like, and another reason for surrender is because if we surrender, we just not get relief from the threefold miseries of Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, all those. We actually get bliss. That's what it is. We get that lasting happiness for which we have been struggling to get birth after birth. And another reason is because it saves us time and suffering and energy. We have been trying to get this everlasting happiness for so long, and we didn't get through any of our efforts. In fact, we will not even get in the other so-called paths of Hatha Yoga or other processes which are outlined in the Vedas. Only devotional service can give the topmost everlasting happiness. But why does this saves us time? Why? Because Prabhupada says in many instances, the first cause of suffering is because of ignorance. Why we are like that? Because of our sinful reactions, because of the sins that we have committed. The sins are big blockages because those help us to be not very interested, to be away from devotional service. But Krishna says that if we see the Vedas and all the other processes that are outlined in the scriptures, we have to have lots of punya karma in order to perform even very basic activities of purification. But what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. So Krishna says that you give up everything. just surrender to me. Don't worry about your sinful reactions. Because once you surrender, sinful reactions are nothing to Krishna. Right? He can eradicate all those sins and make us qualified to realize that bliss in his service. So that is why it's very important to understand this verse, because the whole Bhagavad Gita is about this one thing, that you surrender unto me. Means Krishna says, give up all other religion. Means, and then he says, follow a religion. Does he support a religion or he does not support a religion? What is he talking about? He is talking about only one religion, which is surrender to me. Me means Krishna, surrender to Krishna. So the surrender is the way, and it helps us to achieve the ultimate goal of life. So at least the three main option is because we don't have any option, and it gives us real bliss, not only relief. And the third main thing is it saves us time, because no other process can help us to achieve this topmost goal. Okay. So now, assuming that at least theoretically we accept the concept that yes, surrender will give me what I want, but whom do I surrender, right? Suppose if a kid in 12th grade wants to study maybe medicine or a business in California, and talks about from whom will I learn? And they choose the topmost college, which is maybe Berkeley or Santa Clara or California at least. So they select the topmost. Everybody wants to go to the topmost university or topmost person who's knowledgeable in the field to get more knowledge. So when we talk about surrender, whom do we surrender? There are many people to whom we can surrender because there are many demigods. Why should we surrender to Krishna? Right? So let's not talk about surrendering to human beings, because it's always fallible, because all humans are mortal, right? Means all living beings in that sense. Let's talk about demigods who have more powerful than us. Even in the history, we have seen that people who have surrendered even to demigods have failed, because means their surrender failed in the sense their surrender has gone in vain, even though they spent so many years in surrender. So let's see Ravana. He got all types of benedictions from Brahma, but what happened? The surrender went in vain because his heart was not purified and he was killed by Ram. Banasur got benedictions from Brahma, but he failed also, because then even Shiva came to his rescue, Banasur's rescue, but still he lost, right? And of course we all know about Hiranyakashipu's severe austerity, but it went in vain, right? So all other types of surrender will go in vain unless...
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Okay. They say Vanasur, and Vanasur surrendered to Shiva. He actually didn't surrender. That was the whole problem. If he has surrendered to Lord Shiva, because Shiva is already surrendered to Lord Krishna, he would have saved him. The problem is a false surrender versus actual surrender.
The thing is, you brought up a nice point. Thank you for reminding me about that. I had that point in my mind. Yes, Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yatha Sambhu, right? Banasura, the main aspect of surrender is the attitude, as he mentioned, because he surrendered to Shiva with the wrong attitude, that he wants some material accomplishments. And that's the hat Shiva will wear. If he had surrendered to Krishna, surrendered to Shiva, thinking that Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava, then he would have really protected him. Because that's why the attitude and what we are thinking in the mind is so very important about when we talk about surrender. We will talk about that. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And we see from the history, right? There are lots of surrenders. Means Krishna protects. There is no question about it. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says that it's not that Krishna just protects us from some material suffering or something like that, but even if people go beyond the material sufferings and they are completely self-satisfied, even to them, Krishna is the shelter. Like as it is said in the Atmarama verse here, all different varieties of Atmaramas, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including the liberated souls. Means if we don't have something and if somebody else has more of that, then we would want to surrender to that person, because I have a need and I want to satisfy that need, so I surrender to a person. But Krishna is so full of so many good qualities that even those people who are completely self-satisfied and don't have any need, they also surrender to him because he's so sweet. And when we take it from other angle, a person who's giving shelter, if he is a very intelligent person, he discriminates, right? Means whom to give and whom not to give. But let's see how Krishna gives shelter. Prabhuji, would you mind taking the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto? This is a verse from the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, where Uddhava is talking to Vidura. This is 3:2:23. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigam sayapaya yadapya sadvi lebe katim datri uchitam tatonyam kamba dayalum sharanam vrajema. The translation is, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon Putana, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So, Krishna is so merciful that even the enemies feel so completely surrendered, because if they are killed by Krishna, they will even get liberation. So, at least in Putana's case, though she had a wrong intention, but because it was in connection with Krishna, she attained the topmost position. So, whether we are in need or we are not in need, we are favorable or unfavorable, but if we are somehow connected to Krishna, then we attain the topmost goal. Now we come to the main point of the process of surrender. So because now we know the goal, this is the main part, right? Because everybody wants to know, now we know what is the topmost goal, but how do we attain it? Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his book called Sharanagati, he has outlined the process of devotional service. All the what we should do, what we should not do, how one can attain surrender. So let's first, he has based it on this shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we will read the Sanskrit verse translation and then go one aspect after another. So maybe I'll tell the shloka and you can repeat it. We'll repeat it 2-3 times because it's such an important shloka. Anukulyasya sankalpa Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyatiti vishvaso Gopitritve varanam tata Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvida sharanagatihi. Mataji, would you like to lead? Anukulyasya sankalpaha Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyatiti vishvaso Gopitritve varanam tata Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvida sharanagatihi. Anukulyasya sankalpaha Pratikulyasya varjanam Rakshishyati iti vishvaso Goptritve varanam tata Atmanikshepa karpanye Shadvida sharanagatihi. So the translation is the 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. And you see where humility is, it's just the topmost. So this verse appears in Madhya Leela where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing to Sanatan Goswami. Actually, when I talked about surrender, I missed to discuss this point. We all know that when as soon as Sukadeva Goswami was born, he was going away from home because he did not want to be entangled. And Vyasadeva was going. After that, all the disciples of Vyasadeva were going. In order to attract Sukadeva Goswami, the disciples of Vyasadeva, they chanted this verse from Bhagavatam that we sing after the prasadam. Vrindaranyam, that song about the qualities of Krishna, like how his activities in Vrindavan. But then he was still going, but to attract him again, they chanted this verse from Bhagavatam, telling how Krishna gave shelter even to the demons, and there is no other person who's worthy of giving shelter. That from the 3rd canto Bhagavatam that we chanted, then that attracted Sukadeva Goswami. So these verses have lots of potencies that it attracts the souls. If we, especially when we read it with more hankering and love, we really develop those qualities and get attracted to Krishna. Okay. So the first aspect is the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service. And for each aspect, there are 6 items in the process of surrender. For each item, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written one poem for that. So we will read those poems. I mean, just the translation because we don't have the time to sing and go a little deeper. The first is Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. That's the very nice song that we sing. Usually they also sing on Ekadeshis. Let's see if I'm able to access it from here. Will I be able to click here, Mantaji? Okay, can we take the book, bro? Oh, it's there. It's on page 61. The Charanagati book, can we take? Sorry. Thank you very much, Mantaji. Karnas Prabhu, would you like to read the meaning of
All right, dust from the pure devotees' lotus feet. It says, the dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees gives rise to devotional service, and service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. With great care I observe holy days like Ekadasi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion, and with the greatest reverence and love I choose as my dwelling place the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. In the company of loving devotees, I will visit all those places where my Lord Gaurasundara traveled and performed his pastimes. My mind always begs to hear the music of the mridanga, and my heart dances in ecstasy whenever I hear the kind of kirtan established by Lord Gaurasundara. I feel supreme bliss when I behold the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and I conquer all worldly illusions by honoring the Lord's prasadam. Every day, Goloka Vrindavan appears in my home when I see Lord Hari being worshipped there. My joy knows no bounds when I see the Ganges, a river of nectar emanating from the Lord's lotus feet. The sight of the tulsi plant soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to the Lord Krishna. I feel that my life has been fulfilled when I honor shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation that is a favorite of Lord Chaitanya's. Whenever Bhaktivinoda attains that furthers devotional service to Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest joy.
So if we see a little deeper into this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur outlines like what are all the things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness. Let's just discuss like a few of those that stuck in your mind when we read this meaning. So the point that I liked is, he says that with great care I observe holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, because festivals are always fun and you get to do all the 9 processes of devotional service on festival days. Any other aspects? Yes.
I like the one my mind always begs to hear the music of the mridanga.
Yes.
And I love the sound of the mridanga and the kirtanas.
Very nice.
I love one word called Dasa Anudas. And I think that word is the whole meaning of Shud Bhakt Charan Reno. Is this, I think, equivalent to saying Dasa Anudas. And I didn't see that in the poem, but it is there in some other form, but it is there in the poem.
It's the aspect when we say about service to devotees. It's implied there. Yes, thank you. Very nice point. In fact, the service to the devotees is the first point that he's saying, because the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, that's the first point that he's mentioning.
Very sweet.
Yeah. Any other points? Mataji, sorry, I make you walk.
It's a good exercise. I like the one, the company of loving devotees going to the places where Gaura Sundar had visited. And
Yes,
I was
that's
just fondly
nice.
thinking about February is coming a few weeks away, and how Vaisesika Prabhu has arranged for a yatra to Mayapur. And I was just thinking about how good it will be to be there and enjoy in the company of devotees and going to visit. And I was also thinking that Vaisesika Prabhu, when he was younger, he went all the way to South India, kind of just traversing the path that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Wow.
had traversed. And I was like, wow, you know.
It's very nice point, because everybody wants to travel. The instinct is there in every human being to explore, and but exploring in devotional service is the topmost adventure. Any other point, Mataji? Do you? Okay. So he also talks about other aspects like worshipping Tulsi and honoring Prasadam. So all these things which Prabhupada actually started this movement to make these favorable things possible in the company of the devotees, because even difficult things become more easy if we do it in the company of others. So we all see that we are trying to do some of these, but we are at least in the association of the devotees who are doing the other things that we are not doing, and we can get inspiration from them to do this. So isn't this practical, or is it still really in a theoretical kind of theory of relativity? Actually, I heard that when Einstein was presenting the theory of relativity, only like 11 scientists or something amongst so many of them who were present were able to understand. But devotional service is not like that. Even a common man can understand. Especially our acharyas have made it so simple. Right? In this song, it's very easy to understand, and it's something that I can do in my day-to-day life. So we understood at least the basics of the favorable things that we have to do in order to surrender.
Can I have?
Mike, please.
I think the problem is people don't understand. This is a kind of a odd thing. It's very simple to understand, but it's very difficult to understand. Both the things exist at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it in words. So it appears that it is easy, but it is not easy.
Actually, Prabhupada said that devotional service is easy for the simple-minded people, and it's difficult for the crooked. So that's what it is. Okay, let's go to the next one. Rejection of those things that are unfavorable for devotional service. Let's read the meaning of that song, which is Tuva Bhakti Pratikula. It's here in this book. I'm not sure if it's there in the other book. Page 40. Okay, so let me read the meaning of this song. Okay. In this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I will assuredly abandon with utmost endeavor all things in which aversion to devotional service is inherent. I will not keep company with those opposed to your devotional service, nor even look at the faces of those inimical toward Gauranga. I will never reside at a place unfavorable for devotional practices, and I will never take pleasure in non-devotional activities. I will read no book opposed to pure devotion, nor listen to any scriptural explanation which counters pure devotional principles. I will never regard as sacred any place where Gauranga is rejected. All knowledge or action hindering pure devotional service I consider worthless. Any seasonal observance which poses obstacles to the execution of devotional service finds no favor with me, and I consider as strangers all my own relatives or family members who are averse to devotional service. I will totally abandon all desires that hinder devotion. I will never touch foodstuffs offered to me by non-devotees. Yes.
For the Uttamacharis, or I don't remember if it was or it was the other one, but they do have, they do say that they have, they still pay attention to people who are atheists, and they still talk to people.
That's why it said that devotees are more merciful than Krishna himself, which is what you're saying is true. But their intention is not, I mean, sometimes we associate with people because we have our own agenda, because we need something from them, whatever it is. But when pure devotees do that, though apparently it seems like contradictory to these principles, but still the purpose behind what they are doing is what matters a lot. Means that doesn't mean we can go ahead and do it. They may associate with atheists, like for example our Nityananda Prabhu, he goes to the bar and he comes out. But why was he there? Right? Like that the prisoner and the superintendent are there in the same prison, but for a different purpose. You understand? The superintendent was not there because he committed some sin. In fact, he is there to correct the prisoners who are there because of the sin that they committed. So it's the role that you play. It makes the difference. Okay? Yeah.
I want to present a kind of an analogy. Okay, it's a Laila Majnu. You know, those were very loving couple in that sense. So one time that Majnu was sitting and there was a dog there. He never bothered about the dogs. If he's wandering around, that's fine. Somebody told that, oh, that dog belongs to Laila. Immediately, suddenly, all devotion, all love came for the dog. and he started kissing that dog. See, so what I'm trying to say here is, so far, if anything is there in the world, who cares? But as soon as you say that this belongs to Lord Krishna,
you see the connection.
That's where the whole thing.
That's right. Yeah, very very valid point. Yes, Prabhu.
So can it really be that easy? Because we know in life that, and like you said earlier, that surrendering is never easy, no matter what, you know. And we've had so many books and read so many things about it, and still, like, I feel like my ego or something might get in the way, you know. Even though I love Krishna, I chant and stuff, but, you know, we come from a society where we're like you say, surrendering is bad, you know. We don't surrender, not even to ourselves, you know. So, like, for me, this is actually pretty pertinent to my devotional service to learn about these processes, because I feel like I have a hard time with it, even though it seems so easy.
Of course, it's because our mind is complex, and it has the brain pattern has been changed after many lifetimes. It seems difficult for us, but as I said, there is hope, because everything outside devotional service is hopeless. But as long as we do devotion, even if it is very little, there is hope. Because we may fall down, we may come and go out of devotional service, that's fine. But as long as we have the connection with Krishna, then we are safe. Like the raw mango and the ripened mango, right? But it's a mango, right? He's a devotee, right? So maybe a person might be chanting 64 rounds every day, or but he may be harsh to other devotees, right? Can you say that he's not a devotee? No, because he is connected to Krishna, though he is doing little bad, doesn't mean that we should reject him. It means that over the time it will ripen, right? But that person is much better than a well-behaved non-devotee. You see? So that kind of deeper understanding, that we will go to the next point of taking shelter of Krishna. That's a very important thing. All other qualities are secondary when compared to taking shelter of Krishna. If we have that one thought that Krishna will protect me and Krishna is my hope, then over a period of time, even unknowingly, we will get that. We will be able to surrender. And it's easy. But the thing is, we should be on the track. No matter what happens, we should be on the track. That's it. Then eventually, as time passes by, we will be able to do this. So here, we got the main points of
one simple example. I've read it from Ramcharitmanas, I think. The Lord Rama was telling to the people, Brahmins are very important for us. It's just like if there is a cow and which doesn't want to give milk, you can tie and somehow you can get some milk out of a non-well-behaved cow. But if there is a donkey, how well-behaved it may be, you can't get the get the milk.
That's the right thing. That's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. Yes, that. Thank you for that example. Yes. So because in this whole thing of rejection and accepting things and rejecting things, the main thing is the attitude. Because in the preface to Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada says, the success of a devotee depends on the attitude of the follower. Right? The attitude of the follower is what is very important. Because it's very easy to reject all this, but we should have a devotional attitude behind what we do and what we do not do. Otherwise, it's almost like if you're trying to drink water. Actually, Shiva, this is an example that comes in Nectar of Devotion. Lord Shiva is saying this point that if you do devotional service without proper devotional attitude or surrender, it's almost like you're trying to drink water from an earthen pot, but the pot is not baked. If the pot is not baked, how well it will hold the water, right? So that's how it is. So we should always have the devotional attitude. And the next aspect is conviction that Krishna will give protection. Actually, Rupa Goswami outlines all the 24 qualities of the devotee. But the main quality that he says that, which is very important for a devotee, which he must have, is surrendering to Krishna. Means taking shelter of Krishna, having that conviction that Krishna will protect. Because if that is there, then all other qualities will automatically manifest in a devotee. In fact, that is the thought that will hold us, will sustain us in devotional service. Let's quickly read the meaning of the song, because now we have to hear from Shraddha Mataji also. Yeah, the page 35 in the Sharanagati book. Let's see what song that Bhaktivinoda Thakur offers in this context. See, here is the stage, like we do things and then we reject things, and then we come to a more deeper understanding of developing connection with Krishna. So it's kind of a stage, it's progressing. So let's see what he says in this one. If you wish to slay someone, then who would possibly protect them? The three worlds are subservient to your will. The demigods headed by Lord Brahma, or your countless servants who stand ready to execute your command. By your will, the planets incessantly exercise their auspicious or inauspicious influences. Illness, grief, death, and fear occur by your will. Your command is all-powerful. In fear of you, the wind blows, the sun and the moon rise and set, all performing their regulated tasks. You are the Supreme Lord, the ultimate Spirit, transcendentally situated beyond even the beyond. Your residence is in the heart of your loving devotee. You are eternally pure, All your desires are already fulfilled. Your name is Bhakta Vatsala, for you are the eternally affectionate Lord of your dear devotees. If you wish to protect someone, then who could possibly slay them? You are the law of all laws. Your servant Bhaktivinoda has bowed down submissively at your lotus feet. O Lord, he cherishes the faith, O Master, that you will surely protect him from all dangers. So, you see, the higher understanding comes because we come here, we do festivals, we do the sadhana bhakti of the rules and regulations we follow, and we avoid things we don't want to. But then what do we get? We get this realization that Krishna will protect. You get a higher understanding about how Krishna is so great, how he has protected other devotees, and you internalize that, yes, he will protect me also, right? So that is the conviction that we get if we follow the rules and regulations. And
here I see there are two parts to this. One part is, if Lord Krishna doesn't give us protection, who can give us the protection?
Yes, Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake Ke. Yes.
Because there is everything in this world, any action, even a slightest movement of leaf is controlled by the science or the Maya of Lord Krishna. If nothing can be done by us, there is no other protection. Okay, now, is Krishna our protection or not? That if we go to Krishna, and we have to experience it. And that is called, his name is Vatsal, and our scripture says he protects our people. So I make it like two parts. One is, because there is nobody else, okay, Lord Krishna is the only one where we can go. And then does Lord Krishna help his devotees? Our scripture says yes.
That's correct. Thank you, Prabhu. So, once we are convinced, see I was just talking to my brother-in-law, and he was making this point that the main goal of the business is only one thing, which is new customers. That's it. That's the main thing. If you want to grow your business, you target the customer. And then he was talking about marketing. Because why companies spend millions and billions of dollars in marketing? Just to get a moment of our attention. So if I see an ad, just for a moment, which is very difficult to get a person's attention because there are so many distractions in this world, if they get that attention, and if somehow they caught the attention, then they are convincing. Because when they are convinced, when they see your ad, you have made your first sale. Means actually they are convinced. That's the first point where they try to buy your product. And then what they say, they actually go and buy a product, surrender, right? So same thing, like when you're convinced that something will help you, then what you do, the next step you do is you accept it, you buy it, right? That's the second step, acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, right? So in this connection also, it's a wonderful song, but we won't be able to sing it. Tumi Sarveshwareshwara, it's page 33. Let's see what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says about this point. He says, O youthful son of the king of Raja, you are the lord of all lords. According to your will, creation and destruction take place in the universe. According to your will, Lord Brahma creates, and according to your will, Lord Vishnu maintains. According to your will, Lord Shiva destroys, and according to your will, Maya constructs the prison house of this world. According to your will, the living beings take birth and die, and according to your will, they meet with prosperity and ruin, happiness and sorrow. The tiny soul, bound up by Maya, vainly struggles in the fetters of worldly desire. Without your sanction, he is unable to do anything. You are the only protector and maintainer. Except for your lotus feet, there is no other hope for me. No longer confident of my own strength and endeavor, I have become solely dependent on your will. Bhakti Vinoda is most poor and his pride has been leveled. Now in accordance with your will, he lives and dies. You see how the attitude changes? Because when we are doing in the sadhana bhakti say, we think I do it. But when you come to this stage, it's not my will, it's your will. Because of you, I'm living or dying, happy or unhappy. Okay? And because why this happens is because the devotee is completely convinced. Like in this picture, how I see Prahalad was completely convinced that my Lord will protect me no matter what you do. When that conviction comes, then devotee becomes fearless. So we also see in this shloka where Krishna himself says that Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham, means I carry what they lack and I lack and I preserve what they have. There are many pastimes that we can talk about for days and days. Like one that Vaisesika Prabhu said, how one devotee surrendered by living, means he said the whole day he'll spend in Bhagavad Gita, but he didn't have food. Then Krishna and Balram came and delivered the food. And we also have the pastime of Ramdas, where Ram and Lakshman came and paid the money that he had, the debt he had to the king, and relieved Ramdas from the prison. There are so many instances where even in our age, like how Krishna comes and protects the devotees. So, but here is a basic understanding that we think it's not my will, it's Krishna's will. That's the main thing. Now, the next stage is full self-surrender. Means full self-surrender means I just tell that whatever I have is yours. Means whatever, I mean, because I am, if I say I am yours, then whatever possession I have, body, means my home, my possessions, everything is yours. Means we are helplessly depending on Krishna, but it is done with more love in this stage. So let's just quickly read the translation of another song, Manasa Deho Geho. It's a very nice song. 23. Mind, body, family, and whatever else may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. In good fortune or in bad, in life or in death, all my difficulties have disappeared by accepting those feet of yours as my only shelter. Slay me or protect me as you wish, for you have full authority over your eternal servant. If it is your wish that I be born again, then may I take birth in the home of your devotee. May I be born again even as a worm, as long as I remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born as Brahma, averse to you. I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desires for worldly enjoyment or liberation. Father, mother, lover, son, lord, preceptor and husband, you are everything to me. Bhakti Vinoda says, O Kana, please hear me, O Lord of Radha, you are my life and soul. Means, what I means thinking that whatever I have yours is good, but telling that I am yours is a higher stage. Means I am yours. Then I'm giving up even myself. I don't even have my identity there. I'm just saying I'm yours. I'm not. Then I cannot say that my house I'm offering it to Krishna, right? Because when I say I am yours, it's complete, full surrender of oneself into to Krishna in Krishna's service. Means one does not have one's identity. Means actually there are different levels of surrender. What they say is, first they follow rules and regulations, they get rid of sins and all that, that's the first thing. But when they go to the second stage, we say that, Krishna, I am yours. But then they think about the gopis, they are the topmost. They say that Krishna is mine. You see, that's the highest level. Krishna is mine. They don't even worry, they don't have completely no idea of their existence and what they want and what they don't want. We know the pastime of how Krishna was having headache, and the only cure is the dust from the lotus feet of his devotees, and the gopis were even ready to go to hell just to give pleasure to Krishna. So that's the topmost stage. Like one gets completely purified and filled with ecstatic love. They say that Krishna is mine.
I have a question.
Yes.
It keeps bothering me a little bit. You say that you should not have any worldly desires. Okay. I think they are distraction from Lord Krishna's devotion. I agree with that. But if there is a desire, and if something is troubling us, and if we beg to Lord Krishna, is it a sin? Yeah, we can always ask our friend, please give me this. Please ask our parents, please give me this. We are not asking other people who are useless, who are never going to help us. What's wrong in once in a wild mood? We may not be until at least we are perfect devotees. Before that, we can ask one item to the Lord Krishna.
Yes, actually that's true, because Krishna even says in Bhagavad Gita, the distressed, the desirer of wealth. Those are two categories of people who come to Krishna. But the good part about it is, better you go to Krishna and ask. If you ask, but go to Krishna and ask, because he is your real well-wisher. Because I have heard some stories where, like, if we go and ask from other people, it's almost like if you're hungry, you go to your mother and ask for food. But will you go to a neighbor and ask for your food? No. It offends your mom, right? Krishna feels that way because he created us. No matter what we have, he wants us to come to him because he knows what is good and what is bad, what we need and what we don't need. It's not a sin. But the thing is, you're not getting the topmost happiness. Like, you're going to a person who's more wealthy and asking him, can you please give me $10? While he is thinking of giving $1 million home to you. You see? So when we try to put a limit on what we want, we get only limited. But when we when we submit ourselves to the unlimited, then we get unlimited. Means we get unlimited happiness or unlimited mercy and unlimited attitude to serve.
We just need to come back to the mundane world for a quick minute. There's a BMW parked outside and that's going to be towed away. So if it belongs to any one of you, the black BMW.
BMW, no, Mataji. I don't think so. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. The point I was saying, that the person who is in sadhana and has yet reached to the highest stage.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's right. So the last point that Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about is humility. We all know about this verse. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. Means he is completely bringing it to the practical level of what is it that you should do in order to attract Krishna. Because this is it. This is the only thing that attracts Krishna. So if we don't have this, even in the so-called service that we are doing, we will be humiliated until we become humble. Because of our ego or whatever it is, if we are not surrendered and if we are not humble, then we lose the main point. That's the thing. Let's quickly read the meaning of the song Amara Jeevan. I think it's there in the song book. Let's It's 72. Anybody wants to read? You want to read? Yes. Yes, just the English translations.
My life is always engaged in sinful activities without a trace of pious activities. I am always inclined to give great anxiety and trouble to other living entities.
Go ahead for the entire song.
For my personal sense gratification, I never reject any kind of sinful activity. I am not at all merciful, and I seek only to my personal interest. When others are suffering, I become very happy. I am always speaking lies, and if someone is suffering, that is very pleasant to me. I have lots of material desires within my heart, and I'm always angry and deceitful. I am captivated by subject matters of sense gratification, and I'm almost crazy. My ornaments and malice are false pride. I am conquered by sleep and laziness, and am always averse to pious activities. But I am very enthusiastic to perform impious activities. I always cheat others for my prestige. I am conquered by greed and am always lusty. I am so fallen, I have no association with devotees, and I am always an offender. In my life, there is not a bit of auspicious activity, and my mind is always attracted by something mischievous. Therefore, at the fag end of my life, I have become almost an invalid because of all my such sufferings. Now, in my old age, with no alternative, I have by force become very humble and meek. Thus, Bhakti Vinoda offers this sad statement of his life's activities at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord.
What did you understand, Yash?
Bhakti Vinod is like saying like how his like life is, and like he's always performing impious activities and like bad stuff, and now at the end of his life he's like humble and surrendering himself to Lord Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that makes sense. Is that true in our life too? Yes. You lead a good life, so you don't know. But we all know that we will really be humbled, like if we do all bad things. And I also like this very nice verse that Vaisesika Prabhu always quotes, that Brahma tattenu kampam susumikshamano bunjena yevatma kritam vipakam hritvag vapurbir vidadam namaste jivete yomukti padesa daya bak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. I am just getting reminded of Radhanath Swami's quotes. It's just a summary of what he said. Krishna gives you the same problem again and again because it's not that Krishna wants you to stop the problem, but Krishna wants you to change. That's why he is giving the same problem again and again, because you have not changed. So sometimes we surrender, thinking that if I surrender completely to Krishna, I will not have any problems. But that's the misconception, because it's not that we'll get relief or from the problems, but it's just the way in which we react to the problems. That's what will change. Because how can we say that I want to be swimming in the water, but I don't want to get wet? It's like that. We care in this material world, the miseries will come because it's Dukhalayam, it's the temple of miseries. But the attitude with which we will take the problem, with surrender, with humility, That's what we'll get when we surrender to Lord Krishna. I'm really sorry, Mataji. We'll be done in one more slide. Okay, sure. Yes, bro. Amar. Mm. Yes, thank you. I'm not sure I read this a quote in Mukharavinda Prabhu's emails, but it says Abraham Lincoln, but when I looked it up, it says Harry. But I'm not sure, whatever it is, whoever said it. This is one practical thing that we can try to practice, because if we practice this attitude, we will at least get to see the benefits of surrender in our day-to-day life. What he's saying is, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit, because this hankering for profit, adoration and distinction is so ingrained in our consciousness that it's almost completely it's kind of a shield that's protecting us from receiving the mercy of Krishna. So if we give up the attitude that we should get the credit for what we do, at least in devotional service first, which is a very difficult thing to do, but at least if we pray in that way and be aware that I should be doing this, at least be aware of that, I think we will be able to get to this surrender in some lifetime, or maybe in this lifetime by the mercy of the devotees. It's all depends on how sincere we are and how humble we are. So we just had a quick summary of what surrender is and what is the process of surrender, and we all discussed about it. Unfortunately, at least I am not a surrendered soul, but somehow talking about the surrender, it's your misfortune. But somehow, on the order of the devotees, we just try to discuss, just execute their orders and just explain what the acharyas say. And we really hope and pray, and I seek your mercy so that we get to this taste and practice it in our lives at every moment. And now I invite Sraddha Mataji to give us some aspects of practical surrender from the prayers of Queen Kunti. Thank you.
Marandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna. So after the wonderful presentation by Gandharvika Mataji, it's going to be a very, very tough task for me to follow. I'll try to do some sort of a justice. So, in her lecture, Gandharvika Mataji had talked about devotees, and she had said that a mango is a mango, whether it's a ripe mango or whether it's a raw mango. And but between a ripe and a raw mango, we always go for the ripe one, right? So a ripe mango is Queen Kunti. Do you all agree? Yes or yes? Okay, so we're going to read a condensed version of prayers of Queen Kunti. The prayers of Queen Kunti actually are in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 8th chapter. But in your grey books, we have got, in this purple colored tab, we got prayers of Queen Kunti. And what we'll do is we'll just go over and maybe each one of you can start reading one each. It starts from here. And where's the microphone? Zone 1, the front zone. Charlene Mataji, where's your microphone? Okay, good. Can you pass it on to Charlene Mataji, please? Yeah. Okay, so just read one little of those pieces there, please.
Oh, Krishna.
Yeah, switch it on, please. Is the microphone on? You say the one, yeah. Pass her the different one.
Yeah.
O Krishna, as the river Ganges forever flows to the sea, let my being be constantly drawn to thee.
O most gentle, O original personality, master of the senses, seated in the hearts of all that be, existing both within and without, seeing all but seen by none, unto you I offer all my respects.
O Krishna, O soul of the universe, beyond the range of our perception, covered by the curtain of misconception, we are bewildered by your movements. Though your work are inactive, though you take birth, you are unborn, and you descend amongst men, sages, animals, and aquatics. You are the transcendent reality, and although you are unknown above all that be, you reveal yourself to the surrendered souls who worship you in the core of their hearts. Unto you I offer all my respects.
O Krishna, O eternal master and friends, once when you were a small child, your mother Yashoda took a rope to bind you. Your perturbed eyes filled with tears, and though fear personified is afraid of you. At the moment you are afraid. How can I understand these things?
O my Lord, I offer all to you. O Lord, whose glance is as cool as a lotus, who protected us from a great fire, from a poison cake, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly of the Kurus, from suffering in exile, from a fierce battle, and from a devastating weapon. You befriended us and stayed with us and guided us through all tribulations. I offer myself and whatever I have unto you.
My Lord, your loving kindness and mercy often come clothed in strange guises, enveloped in a shroud of tribulation. Yet our journey through life is made easy by these hardships you provide.
O Lord, let us not falsely claim that this world is our home. Let us not ever forget that this place is full of danger. But let the calamities come again and again, that we may remember you and meet with you again and again. For by remembering you, we no longer meet with repeated birth and death.
That's right. So,
Three more.
Go ahead.
O Krishna, those who always hear your glories, who always repeat your glories, who always see you in all the things, and who always take pleasure in your pastimes, certainly find shelter at your lotus feet.
My Lord, you can be easily approached, but only by those who are exhausted by sensual pleasure unimpressed with opulence, unimpressed with fame and wealth, with prestigious birth, with scholarship. Only by those who are finished with idle talk, finished with mundane beauty, finished with all forms of religiosity.
My Lord, I'm not afraid to be abandoned by luck or good fortune, by friends and or relatives. I am afraid to be handled roughly. I am not afraid to be handled roughly. I am not afraid to wander the streets homeless like a beggar. I am not afraid to cast away, condemned, quarantined, or exiled. O most gentle, most holy, most merciful Master, help me, prepare me, do whatever is necessary to render fit this unworthy soul for entrance into your eternal abode.
Hari Om. So anything that stuck out in these verses that we read? Pick up the microphone and belt it out. Go ahead, take a microphone, please. We are broadcasting.
I like that, O Krishna, O Eternal Master and friend, once when you were a small child, your mother Yashoda took a rope to bind you. Your perturbed eyes filled with tears, and though fear personified is afraid of you at that moment, you were afraid. How can I understand these things? I love this.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Madhur.
Mataji, the last prayer, I'm not afraid to be abandoned by luck or good fortune. I mean, I was thinking that was really heavy.
It is.
I mean,
yeah. Yes.
While I was thinking, I remember my Guru Maharaj made one statement, very laughingly, says, be very sure what you are praying to Krishna, he'll give it.
Yes,
so,
yes.
So, I mean, this verse really says that, shows, surrender. At least person like me, I want to achieve something, but then, I feel that, this one, maybe next time, or later, or little later, I'm doing this much, but now what is surrender? This verse clearly tells it. Are you prepared for this? If so, then you get what, is the ultimate goal.
Exactly. She's bold, right? And from where is that boldness coming? Boldness like without fear, right? So from where is that boldness coming? Yeah, she has that. Go ahead. Charlene, use the microphone.
From faith.
She has that faith, right? So Gandharvika Mataji had brought up that process of surrender, and she talked about the 6 processes there. And one of them was Rakshasiti Vishwaso. She had that faith. She had that faith that come what may, Krishna will protect me. So it's fine then, come what may, I will do it. Like, sons of rich fathers, they do that a lot, at least in India they do that. They will do everything, they'll run over people. They don't care, they know they won't go to the jail because their father is very powerful. He will protect them, he'll pull all the chain, all the threads that needs to be pulled, and they are saved. So, but then when you are in front, when your protector is Krishna, what more do we want? So yes, very nice. Anything else you want to share? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are quite many more prayers. This was a condensed version of the prayers, but that's it's a good one to read. Doesn't take a long time to read. And so I'm just going to go and bring that up over here. I don't think you have a Srimad Bhagavatam, but you can follow that on the screen as we go. So are you able to read this stuff?
I want to bring one point.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Naresh.
In this world, if somebody is a son of minister and he does all shitty things because he knows that his father will protect him no matter what he does. But that should not be with Lord Krishna.
Very true, yes.
You should not do what Lord Krishna doesn't want you to do. And though, yes, he will protect you in case you did a mistake. It happened to be a mistake. but not intentionally you go ahead and do whatever
Exactly. So anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. So pratikul you don't have to do. You should not do. Yeah, not have to. Yeah, very well brought out. Yeah. So this is verse 1.8.37. Apya adnastvam sakrite hita prabho jihasasi sutsruhido nijivanaha yesham na chanyat bhavata padam bhujat parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam. So the prayers of Queen Kunti, all the verses that we have, 25, 24 verses, they're also there in your shloka book. So if you want to go and look in Srimad Bhagavatam section of your shloka book, and it is chapter number 8 over there, and you can find this one. It is on page number 186. Thank you. Yeah. So we're going to go into this verse in a little bit more detail and try to see how it maps to what Gandharvika Mataji was telling us today morning. So we'll go through the synonyms first. Api is if, adya, today, naha, as, tvam, you, swakrita, self-executed, ihit, all duties, prabho, O my Lord, jihasasi, giving up, swit, passively, suhrida, intimate friends, anujivanaha, living at the mercy of, yesham, of whom, na, nor, cha, and, anyat, anyone else, bhavataha, your, pad ambujat, from the lotus feet, parayanam, dependent, rajasu, unto the kings, yojit, engaged in, hasam, enmity. Okay? So back to the verse one more time. And now you can repeat after me. Ap adnastvam swakrite hita prabho jihasasi swatsrihido nijivanaha yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat parayanam rajaso yohitam hasam apyadnastvam swakrite hita prabho jihasasi switsruhido nijivanaha yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat parayanam rajusu yojitam hasam apyadnastvam swakrite hita prabho jihasasi suthridonu jivanaha yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat parayanam rajusu yojitam hasam. Anyone wants to lead? Do you want to go? Microphone.
Apiyadyanastvam swakrite hita prabho
Apyadnastvam swakrite hita prabho
jihasasi swit suhrudo anujivina
jihasasi sutsruhido nijivanaha
yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat
yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat
parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam
parayanam rajasu yojitam hasam. Apyadnastvam swakrite hita prabho jihasasi sutsruhido nujivanaha yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat Parayanam Rajasuyojitam Hasam. Mataji. Apadnastvam swakrite hita prabho. Jihasasi sutridino jivanaha. Yesham na chanyad bhavata padambhujat. Parayanam rajasuyojitam hasam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today, though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us? So going into the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Pandavas are most fortunate because with all good luck they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. But in the case of a transcendental relationship with the Lord, it's the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. The material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. But the cruel material nature does not allow us to become independent. The false attempt to become independent of the stringent laws of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. The whole material world is moving on this false attempt of becoming independent of the laws of nature. Beginning from Ravan, who wanted to prepare a direct staircase to the planets of heaven, down to the present age, they are trying to overcome the laws of nature. They are trying now to approach distant planetary systems by electronic mechanical power. But the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on Him. The highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. The Pandavas were the ideal executors of this standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna, but they were not ideal parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activities. Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. The perfection of life is therefore to become dependent on the will of the Lord, instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anaths, or without any guardian, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanath, or those having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sanath so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence. By the deluding power of external material nature, we forget that the material condition of life is the most undesirable perplexity. The Bhagavad Gita therefore directs us in 7.19 that after many, many births, one fortunate person becomes aware of the fact that Vasudeva is all in all, and that the best way of leading one's life is to surrender unto Him completely. That is the sign of a Mahatma. All the members of the Pandav families were Mahatmas in the household life. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the head of these Mahatmas, and Queen Kunti Devi was the mother. The lessons of the Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, especially the Bhagavad Puran, are therefore inevitably connected with the history of the Pandav Mahatmas. For them, separation from the Lord was just like separation of a fish from water. Srimati Kunti Devi therefore felt such separation like a thunderbolt. And the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, although the inimical kings were killed, their sons and grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who were put into the condition of enmity, but all of us are always in such a condition, and the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord and thereby overcome all difficulties of material existence. So now let's go back to the purport and dig a little bit deeper into what Srila Prabhupada has so mercifully explained to us in this purport. So it starts with saying that the Pandavas were most fortunate because with all good luck they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And so sometimes we find that it's very difficult to do that, to make it a habit to be completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. As Carlos Prabhu was saying, that I come from a culture where it is taken as a negative thing. It's taken as like, you are a no good person if you're dependent on the Lord. It's like, I do it everything. I am the doer. I am capable. I won't take help from anybody. You see a lot over here. Right? Whereas in the contrast, in the East, the civilization, the Eastern civilization is slightly different over there. We take help very easily. We cry loudly. We share our things more easily with others. The whole village knows about it, if something happens to you. And we go out and ask for help. And it's a done deal and it's a thing over there that as you grow old, your children are going to take care of it. It's okay to start to become dependent on your kids. Like you have a son, it's almost expected that your parents will live with the son. It's not like they will leave away. Now sadly that part is also going away over there, but that's how it used to be. That you live with your family, you grow old, and if you're following the varnashram system properly, then you go away to the forest and you live there, and the wife doesn't go there. The wife stays with the son. The mother stays with the son, and she gets taken care of. But in contrast to that, here the civilization is different, because you didn't. I mean, and it's not that the kids are to be blamed. I mean, the parents are equally responsible for that, because when we are young, we have this tendency to go out and enjoy. And if there's a vacation that's coming up, I'd rather take that vacation than spend some more time with my child and take the child to whatever school he needs to go to, or whatever extra attention the child needs with the studies or growing up and things like that. So then it all comes back to you in the end. So when they grow up, they also don't take care of you. So now you know that you have been doing that and you see that happening to your parents. So then we start building up a artificial kind of a reservoir, artificial kind of a reserve. So I'm going to have a bank balance. I'm going to make sure I've got sufficient amount of stock. I've purchased a house and I paid off all the mortgages. So I'll work really, really hard right now so that before I hit the age of 60, I should have, the house should be my own, my car should be my own, everything should be my own. And then that way I'll be able to live my old age very, very happily, because I have fortified myself with these things now. Does it happen that way? What happens? What is it that you cannot avoid with all these fortifications that we got? Like we got money, we got bank balance, we got infrastructure all lined up, we saved enough to have health insurance coverage when we are there. So what is it that we cannot avoid? What is it that we cannot overcome with all the money that we have in this world? Death. And even before that, disease. Old age, yes, thank you, right? Those are the things that you cannot. We can go and get a Botox treatment and get all the wrinkles removed from our face. We can look young like Cher, right? Or if you don't like the shape of the nose, we can be Michael Jackson and we can keep on going back to the doctor and ask him to do a little bit of plastic surgery on us. But how long can we avoid all that? Then old age is going to hit you, right? It comes. And then no matter how much money that you have, no matter, even if you are staying in the best of the hospitals and you have got good insurance, but still you are suffering, right? You're still suffering. You have got pain. They will give you some painkillers, but then they'll also tell you that because of this painkiller, now your kidneys are going to fail, or your liver is now damaged because of all the medicines that you took. So no matter how much that we try to fortify ourselves with these material things, there are these inevitable things that are beyond our control. So birth was beyond our control. We were born, at least, when we were being born, it was without our control. And then death is outside of our control. And then diseases are outside of control. Like Steve Jobs, I mean, he headed the best company which comes up with these wonderful Apple products, but he died of cancer. So he could not avoid, for all the technological advances, he could not avoid that. And so no matter how much we depend on the material energies, we will continue to have the three kinds of material miseries that Gandharvika Mataji was talking about. She said there is Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmic and Adi Devik. So these three miseries will come. So we might just say that, I have accumulated enough amount of money, and I can live in this. I've got my house of my own, and I have got sons, and I've got a good family. But then what about earthquakes? They can come and wipe out the entire town, and you could be homeless. And then now you have to get money to build it one more time. So these kind of, the trivid, these are known as the three types of viptas that you keep on getting in your, as long as you're encapsulated and imprisoned in this material world, you'll continue to get that. So the idea is to take a leap and then get out of that circle that Maya has drawn around you. And that is to bestow and to put all your faith, as Charlene Mataji was pointing out, to put all your faith into the Lord. And Prabhupada says that they were so fortunate that because of the good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of Lord Krishna. So they were so fortunate. So if we do that, then we'll also be very, very fortunate. And then he says that in this material world, to be dependent on mercy of someone else is of utmost sign of misfortune. Well, that's fine. It is sort of a misfortune because you're dependent on others. I'm dependent on my boss. As long as my boss is smiling on me, I'll get my promotions and my bonuses. But what if the boss dies? Boss is involved in a car accident. What will you do? Now you were obnoxious to all others trying to please your boss. Now they're going to come get you. So it's not going to help you at all, right? So the one person who doesn't come get you, even though whatever you might do, and is still very compassionate to you, is Krishna. And Krishna is so wonderful. Like the definition of God as Parashar Muni gives us. So how does Parashar Muni define God? There were six characteristics he gives of Bhagwan. He's very opulent. He's very opulent. Yeah, we all like that. Beautiful. He's beautiful. He's strong, right? He lifted the Govardhan hill. He's also renunciate. He's very famous, and he's very knowledgeable, right? So these are all the good things that we have for God, that God has. I mean, yes, if you look at contrast with, whatever things that we rely on, like we rely on our parents, we might rely on our husbands, we might rely on our bosses, but do they have all these 6 qualities in them? And to the extent that Krishna has, no. Right? So then what's the harm? Here by definition you have God Bhagwan, who is defined by these 6 good things. So what's the harm? There is no harm in being dependent on your parent. The best parent that you have is God. And I'm actually at that stage in life where I have lost both my parents. So when my mother, when they were there, I never had to care about anything at all in the world. Honestly, I had no idea how the food appeared on the table. All that I had to do was do my studies, and they would keep on shouting and come eat food. I wouldn't even go there to eat food because I was busy solving some mathematical problem. And I had no care whether the vegetables were there, somebody had chopped them, somebody had cooked them, somebody was going to wash them. I was not bothered about that at all. Completely, dependent on my parents. Food will somehow automatically appear on the table. But then, as I grew up and I started, working on my own, then it hit me that I had to do most of the things and mom was not there. And then mom left the world as well. So now you realize that, the mom is not there. I mean, she's not cooking for you any longer, but that she's there for you to listen to you and to whatever woes you have, whatever troubles you're going through, and also to give you advice. And she's not there. And then recently my dad also passed away. And that was quite an eye-opening thing for me, because then I realized that, when both your parents go away, they say, the people lament and they cry and they say, "Main anath ho gaya," "Main anath ho gaya." I've become an anath because I don't have anybody on top of that. And on that day, the realization dawned on me that you are not anath yet, because Krishna is the Supreme Father. He's still there for you. And you know what? He's the best father that you can have. So there is absolutely no wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong in relying on Krishna and being dependent on Krishna. You can proudly say that I am dependent on Krishna. Yes, I am dependent on Krishna. Like Vaisesika Prabhu says, when people ask you, what is this tilak mark on your forehead? Yes, this is the footprint of Lord Krishna, and I'm proud to proclaim that. When I go to the airport, I don't take it off because I'm proud to proclaim, yes, I am under the guidance and protection of Krishna because I have got the best with me. As Pandavas had got the best with them, they were so fortunate that they had surrendered unto Krishna. And so, even a few weeks ago, when Devamat Swami Maharaj had come here to our temple, and he had said that it's absolutely right to be dependent on the parents if the parents are good parents. If the parents are good parents, absolutely, there's nothing harm in even living with them. Over here, the culture is that as soon as you're 18, you are supposed to move out of the house. If you don't move out of the house, the parents are going to kick you out. The mothers is going to tell you, leave, what are you doing? You're good for nothing. You don't got a boyfriend, you don't got a girlfriend, move out, right? But here, no. If your parents are good, you stay over here. And I was very, very surprised when I was at my company, I was attending some training, and I was very fresh from India, not very much exposed to the culture over here. And so there was this American girl, and we were all asked to introduce ourselves and say something fun and something interesting that will catch the attention of others. And so this lady gets up and she says, like, I'm 23 and I'm in the human resources, I'm 23, and I live still with my parents. And there was a round of applause in the classroom. That was shocking to me. I'm like, why are they clapping? Like, to me it was a very normal thing. When I was 23, I was living with my parents. And then I realized that here the culture is different. Here you're supposed to be out. And on top of that, she was working with my company, so she was earning and making her own money. And so it was not that she was depending on her parents for the money or anything like that. She had good set of parents who really relished having her around, and she really liked living with her parents. So the same thing is here with us, with Krishna, that if you have such a wonderful parent and you have got such a wonderful fortune that you realize that Krishna is your parent, then nothing like it. And who is Krishna? Now, sometimes you might say that, when my mom was around, I was able to talk to her, write a letter, or pick up the phone, talk like that, to talk to my dad, discuss things with him. Now they're no longer there. So similarly, Krishna is not manifest. I mean, he's here in the form of a deity, but he doesn't talk to me, right? If I ask him questions, the answers, you have to really, really, sit down and really be ready to get the answers from him. He doesn't talk to you audibly like that. So who else can we turn to if Krishna is not there to talk to us in this world? Where else will I go? Where else can I go? I have lost my parents. And Krishna doesn't speak to me audibly. We go to our guru, exactly, right? So you go to our guru because Krishna is represented in this world by our guru. So it's absolutely okay also to be fully surrendered into your guru. So that's what we do during the initiation. When we get initiated, we say that we are completely surrendered to the guru. Whatever the guru says, you just go and do it, no matter what. Right? And that's what Prabhupada did. His guru had said, whenever you have time, print books, and that's what he spent his lifetime doing it and preparing for it. And when he was 69, the thought was still troubling him that he said, go to the Western world and preach. And that was a thought that was always crossing my mind, that I have not done that, and I don't have sufficient money to do that. And he was trying all the material routes to do that, but finally Krishna arranged for that, and he came over here. So that was the surrender to the guru, and indirectly it was surrender unto Krishna. Coming to USA in a merchant vessel with just a few dollars in your pocket is surrender. It was complete surrender to Krishna. Coming over here to USA. But I remember 15 years ago when I was trying to come to USA, I was trying by all hooks and crooks, and I'm online. I shouldn't be saying that, but I tried. At that time, you're only allowed to bring $500 to USA, but I tried all possible means to get even more over here because I was so scared. How will I come here? How will I live? If I don't have money, what's going to happen? And all that kind of stuff. Because that faith in Krishna was not there. That time I was not Krishna conscious at all. So thanks to somebody distributing a book is how I came across Bhagavad Gita and took to this 4 years ago. So, and slowly, I mean, am I a surrendered soul to Krishna? No, absolutely not yet. I still try to pull the strings. I still try to pull certain things. These people that we are talking about, the Pandavas and Queen Kunti, they are absolutely ripened fruits. They are red mangoes that you just, touch them and they'll come into your hands. They are juicy and tasty. And that's why we try to associate with them through these books, because one of the things that about anukulyasya that Gandharvika Radha pointed out was association of devotees, right? So you associate with devotees. This is physical association. We're all sitting over here. And through reading these books, we are associating with Srila Prabhupada, with the Pandavas, with the Kunti, and, try to learn and if possible, try to emulate the thing. And Prabhupada says it's a material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. And we try to fight with Maya. It doesn't happen. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durataya. Durataya, she's bad. She is just bad. Right? And Ahankara Vimudatma Karta Aham Iti Manyate. So because of a false ego, because we identify ourselves with this body, and so whenever we achieve something, we say, oh, I am so great, I achieved this. My software was released today. I mean, we don't tell them how many bugs it still has inside it, but that's a different story. But we do that, so that thing is inside us, that I am the doer and I do everything. But you know what? Next time there's a project, next time you came up with the product bombs on you, or your company gets shut down, your company gets purchased by somebody else, or if not anything else, you get some disease, and then we get materially exhausted. As long as these things are going good with you, nice things are happening to us, we feel very good, but it's not a very good situation to be in, because then your false ego can become really, really strong. So it's good to get a dose of humility every now and then, to kind of bring us back onto the straight and the narrow path. Because the paths when you are going on the path back to Godhead, it is a path where Prabhupada says that we have to cross this material ocean to go over to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And crossing an ocean, it's a difficult thing. You look at the ocean over here, it's turbulent. So there's a lot of turbulence in this material world, and especially in this age of Kali Yuga, where he says, our minds are constantly disturbed, we've got poor memory, and all that kind of things are happening. So we have to be on the straight and the narrow path going back to Godhead. And in fact, that always reminds me of, I'm in a software company, so during the software development phases, different teams will be working together, and of course they don't talk because they have a false ego inside, I'm the smart one, the way I'm doing things is how it should be done. You're not following my stuff, good luck, I'm going to do it this way. They do it that way. Third team does it that way. And when the time comes to integrate all of them, of course the software doesn't work, right? So they will say, oh yeah, you know what, but I'm using his module, but if I do just this much, and if I deviate from this path, it bombs. And then I go and pick up the next module, and if I don't follow exactly what he has said, and if I deviate even a little bit, it bombs. And that's the story. It bombs. So does your software work in an integrated manner? Yes, when you follow a straight and a narrow path, which is absolutely guided. You stay here. You're deviating, you are slapped, come back here. You're slapped, you come back here. And that's how you work on that small and the narrow path. That is the path for us as well. There are so many deviations that Maya will offer you here and there. You get up in the morning, the alarm goes off, right? And then you hear there's television playing in the other room, or maybe you hear noises because you're in an apartment and your next door neighbor is playing the television, and then you want to go and listen, like, all right, fine, before I do my rounds, let me just see what Sienna is saying. Is there something that I need to know? Is there, tsunami going to hit my coast, and should I know that? So there is attraction at every step, right? Prabhupada says, padam padam yad vipadam natesham. At every step there is danger for us. So we have to stay in the narrow path. And that is why we take guidance. We try. Well, first thing is, don't go to the wrong path at all. So you stay in the association of devotees. And the second thing is that you take the help from the Shastras. You take help from Guru. The Guru is there to guide us. Okay? So don't try to even tempt Maya. Because one of the things that we do is, as we progress into devotional service, we think that we have come to a particular stage where I have controlled my urges, and I will, come what may, I will be able to do that. So we should never have that attitude. And attitude is what matters, as Gandharvika Mataji was saying, and as you also pointed out earlier, that attitude is very, very important. Don't get that attitude of, like, oh, fine, I'm a great devotee, I've overcome this, never challenge Maya to come and give you another test. The test, as you progress in devotional service, the tests become even more and more subtle. Okay? When we are beginning, it's relatively easy in the sense that tests are very well declared. Like the Bhakti Shastri test comes, and where Subhas Prabhu comes and says, like, okay, if we're going to have the Bhagavad Bhakti Shastri semester 2 exam is going to be on 5th of December. And what do we always say? No, right? It's the marathon time. We're busy doing book distribution, or I'm going there and I'm not ready and my dog is sick. We come up with all kinds of excuses for doing that. Maya doesn't give you that. And Srivas Prabhu is always merciful. He postpones the exam, right? Maya doesn't do that to you. When the exam comes, even if it's in a gross form, you have to go through that exam at that time. And as we develop in devotional service, the exams become even much more and more subtle. So never tempt Maya. As Vaisesika Prabhu says so many times that Maya is like a saleswoman. She will knock at your door, and if you open that door, if you make the mistake of opening the door, she's going to put her foot inside the door, and now you can't close it. And then she will slowly sweet talk you, like sales women do that, right? They'll slowly sweet talk you. They will come inside, and very soon you'll be telling her, now come and sit inside, let's talk. And there she will talk to you about whatever goods that she's selling. The saleswoman will do that. And by the time you're saying goodbye to her at the door, she has already sold you a vacuum cleaner, which was $2,500, and you did not need it at all. So why get into that? So stay on the narrow path. Be dependent on Krishna. Close your eyes towards Maya. Have the attitude of surrender. And that is what Kunti Maharani had. And that's why she's saying these beautiful prayers. And she knows that, going towards the material nature, she's going to fall down if she just decides on that. Right? So Prabhupada says that this whole material world is moving. The material world exists because of the false attempts to become independent of the laws of nature. First we wanted to become independent of Krishna. Right? We did not accept Krishna as the controller because of the little controlling streak that we all have, because we are his images. So we have that little controlling streak. We did not want to serve Krishna the proper way, although it's our nature to be a loving devotee and a loving servant of Krishna, but we did not want to do that because we have free will. Right? Jivera Swarup Hai Nitya Krishna Das. That's our nature. But when you try to go against your nature, bad things are going to happen. You will be uncomfortable. And this is the uncomfort. This is the playground that Krishna has created. Fine, you want to control? Here, I'm going to give you a nice universe. You can start from the top, from Brahma, and you can continue to go over and over in a Ferris wheel and live your life over here. And then what we try to do over here is that we try to then become... So now, from the spiritual world, now we are in the material world, suffering the three prongs of Maya, and we try to become independent of the laws of nature. Like I talked about the Botox treatments that we do, the nails that we get done, and the noses that we get polished. And so these are real life stories from now. And then even in the past, people wanted to do that. Ravan did not want to follow the right process of moving from one planetary system to another planetary system. He wanted to build a staircase. Right? Similarly, in the 1960s, America and even before that, Russians were always trying to go into the space. There are so many other ways of going into the space, but they wanted to follow the mechanical route of doing that. Right? So if you will go there on the one, and I don't even know whether they went to the moon or not. I used to read so much on the internet. But then, you will never get the right results of that. Right? Even if you try to, for some short time, you overcome the modes of material nature or the laws of material nature, but in the long run, you will always have some kind of a side effect of that. Right? So, one of the things to keep in mind over here is that they were dependent on the will of the Lord. So, thus, depending on the will of Krishna means that I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just sit back and relax and say, I'm dependent on Krishna. He will provide food for me. He's providing food even for the elephants. But my dear, you're not an elephant. You are a human being. So if you are a human being, there are certain responsibilities that come from being a human being, right? And so what are the things that human beings can do, and what are the things that an animal can do? So we eat, animals also eat, right? Animals mate, we also mate. Animals have fear, we also have fear, right? Eating, sleeping, mating, drinking, and having fear. These are the things that we do, and human beings also do, and animals also do. But there's one thing that differentiates us from them. What is that differentiates us from them? We can inquire of the Absolute. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ramananda Saka Prabhu. We have that question, we have that power, we have that intellect is polished enough that we can inquire. Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Now you got a human body, so now you go and do the Brahma Jigyasa. And so do not sit back and do not become parasites of the Lord. So the Pandavas, they were so valiant. I mean, Arjuna, even as a small child, used to get up in the night and practice his shots. He was the best bowman, but he just didn't become a bowman like that. He was dependent on Krishna, but he used to put all the hard work that needs to go into that. So Arjun was doing all the hard work, but he was not focusing on the result. Right? He was doing Nishkam Karma. I'm doing it, but if Krishna is willing, so that's the key word. If Krishna willing, this will happen. So we should make it a habit in our day-to-day life that whenever we are planning, we should always add that little clause. Just as we add all these little clauses, the fine prints that we put in our documents when we are back at work, right, to cheat our customers, write something in small print. So this should actually not be a small print. This should be really out in bold letters that if Krishna willing. It's very, very important. Otherwise there is frustration. Otherwise there is no surrender. The surrender process is saying, if Krishna willing, because no matter how hard I'm trying, I'm giving it my best, my 100%, my 108%, my 200%. But if Krishna doesn't will, we accept that gleefully. We accept that happily. We don't get frustrated and we don't go and say, oh, dang, what happens? We don't use these 4-letter words at all. We say, it is Krishna's mercy. And this is what Krishna wanted. And the verse that Gandharvika